The Mighty Orinoco by Jules Verne. Translated by Stanford L. Luce. Edited by Arthur B. Evans. With an introduction by Walter James Miller. Narrated by Tad Davis. Introduction by Walter James Miller. You hold in your hands a work that brings us closer to the climax of a decades-long effort to present the complete and the real Jules Verne to the English-speaking world. For this is the first time that his Le Superbe Orinoco, published in French in 1898, has appeared in English. And add this bonus, perhaps in partial recompense for Anglo-American publishers' long neglect of the essential Verne, we English-speaking admirers can boast that we are the first in his international audience to honor him with such annotated critical editions. This Wesleyan University Press edition helps correct a long-standing censorship of the great romancer, for the Mighty Orinoco was the first of his works to be totally suppressed in English, largely for political reasons. The work you now contemplate also helps destroy two hoary myths about Verne, that he rarely wrote about women and love, and that he seldom attempted to portray the working class. Many such misunderstandings of Verne have been based on the persistent unavailability of several of his titles, and on the gruesome fact that, with few exceptions, the standard translations of most other titles were greatly abridged, omitting from 20 to 40% of Verne's originals. The Mighty Orinoco also gives us one more sterling example of how Verne regarded science as inseparable from life. His reputation as a futurist is here reaffirmed as he involves his characters in a major 19th century scientific question that would remain unsolved for 57 years after he started to write this book. That is, until the middle of the 20th century. In Orinoco, he further proves his enduring literary value by his masterful handling of a beautiful and ingenious plot, and of such themes as the quest for the father, and, more daunting, the basic androgyny of human personality. With deep intuition, he recreates perfectly that nagging anguish of modernity, as Edmund J. Smith so aptly terms it. This angst is produced in part by our conflicts over our self-righteous, self-serving idea of progress on the one hand, and the human rights of those with alternative programs on the other. Verne measures up to the challenge that these themes inevitably pose. He creates an array of unique characters who can successfully face such conflicts. These include a young French adventurer capable of rapid psychological growth, a builder of a utopia on the model set by Bishop Bartolomeo de las Casas, a charming Indian boy caught too early in one of life's great crises, and several heroic, skillful boatmen. This edition will also help us understand why Verne has been such a powerful influence on world literature in those countries where he could be read in his original French, or in complete, for example, Spanish, Russian, German translations. Some of the questions I've raised so far cannot be developed here without destroying your enjoyment of Verne's delicious suspense, but a few of these questions can and should be explored now, because they will help us to keep Jules Verne's novel and Stanford L. Luce's translation in better perspective. Most urgent, perhaps, is the question of suppression, for which leading scholars see a buildup of three cumulative causes. First, as Arthur B. Evans points out, Verne was the victim of his own success. By the end of the 19th century, he had so popularized his new genre, the scientific romance, that a veritable host of Verne School writers, mainly imitators, was now tapping his market. On that ground alone, English publishers grew wary about new translations, and in those days American publishers took their cues from the English. Second, translations of the earlier works, like From the Earth to the Moon, 1865,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?